Good evening, everyone, and welcome. We met in executive session, and we have done the flag salute. So I'm going to just read the statement of public notice. This is a regular meeting of the Board of Education of Bernards Township. Notice of the time and place of the meeting was provided, and copies of the resolution were forwarded to the official newspapers as designated by the Board of Education and the Township Clerk, and a copy of the notice was posted on the bulletin board of the Board of Education offices. For those members of the public who cannot attend our meeting in person, a live stream link to the meeting is posted on the district's website, www.bernardsbo.com. We very much welcome input from the public. There are 2 times during regular meetings the public is invited to speak. One time is early in the meeting before the board votes, when you may speak about any item that's listed on tonight's agenda. Towards the end of the meeting, there's another public forum to address any matter of public concern related to the schools. When you approach the microphone, please state your name and address. Each statement by a participant shall be limited to 3 minutes duration. No participant may speak more than once during a given public comment session. The first public comment session will be limited to 30 minutes and the second will be unlimited. In order to run efficient meetings and to allow maximum opportunity for members of the public to speak, the board reserves the right to set a different time limit for individual comments and the overall time limit for the public comments portion of the agenda. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer, and no participant may address or question board members individually. Please understand, public comment portions of our agendas are not structured as question and answer sessions, but are offered as opportunities to share your thoughts with the board. The board administration will respond to public comments to the extent possible. Any board responses to public comments will generally be addressed during board forum or committee reports. However, all comments are considered and will be investigated and addressed as appropriate. Please be courteous and mindful of the rights of others when speaking. Comments may not be abusive, obscene, threatening, or irrelevant. Please understand that students and employees have specific legal and privacy protections. The board is not permitted to respond in public to comments about students and employees. Please also understand the board will not be responsible for the content of comments made by members of the public. Members of the public are cautioned that they are speaking at their own risk, and any personally directed statements they make may subject them to legal liability to the affected individual. If it's necessary for the board to go into the executive session at the end of the meeting, we'll provide an estimated length of time for the session and whether any action to be taken upon returning to public session. And with that, we're up to the superintendent's report, which we'll do roll call first. Okay.
Ms. White?
Yes, here.
Dr. McCune? Mr. Molinari?
Here.
Mr. Amin?
Here.
Ms. Mohan? Ms. Corrado?
Here.
Mr. Shaw?
Here.
Mr. Talbot?
Here.
And Mr. Omalanik?
Here.
There are 5 items on the superintendent's report. Do you want us to do the motion and roll? Okay. Okay. Can I get a motion? Keith and Dave.
So the 5 items in particular, we are making a public notice of the 2025-26 New Jersey graduation proficiency assessment results. We have to provide that information within 60 days of getting it. So we will have a link to the detailed presentation available for the public. We want to certify with some pride our 423 graduates from June at Ridge High School. So once again, congratulations to those students and their families. We always have to certify that number officially on our board agenda. We have to annually approve a virtual remote instruction plan. Ever since COVID, this has been a new requirement to have such a plan in place. Our plan is essentially unchanged from last year with the exception of some schedule changes. Obviously, we have a different schedule, so we thanks to Kristen for making a couple updates on that. We're approving our strategic plan since we reviewed it with the public, I believe, back in May for 2025 to 2030. So we'll get that posted on the district website as well, and affirming the HIB report from this month.
Can I get a roll call?
Ms. White?
Yes.
Mr. Molinari?
Yes.
Mr. Amin?
Yes.
Ms. Corrado?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
Mr. Talbot,
Yes.
and Mr. O'Malonic.
Yes.
And that brings us to public comment on agenda items. If anybody has anything that they would like to address on the agenda, please come down to the mic.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Peter MacArthur, 291 South Maple Avenue, Basking Ridge. I just have a quick question on item 10. I believe it's on the financial report, referring to the water infrastructure improvement programs. My question is this: does this proposed motion, does it have to deal with, in part, the proposed turfing the soccer field on the South Maple Avenue fields?
We'll respond when public comments is closed.
I'm sorry?
We'll respond to that when public comment is closed.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Is there anybody else? Okay, with that, we will close public comment on agenda items.
Mr. Jim, you want to take that question about the grant application resolution?
Yes, so number 10, it is separate and apart from the Varsity Field project. It is funding that is available from the state through the Secure Our Children's Future Bond Act that is allocated to districts who want to remediate any fixtures within the buildings that have actually even a trace element of lead in the water. So the state has allocated funds up to $6,000 per fixture, and so we're applying for that grant to see if we get it, and we'll use that to upgrade some of our fixtures that have some trace elements in the water.
Thank you. We're up to approval of minutes. Can I get a roll call on that? Can we do a motion too? Or just roll call? Motion? Can I get a motion? Keith, Mike, and a roll call.
Ms. White?
Yes.
Mr. Molinari?
Yes.
Mr. Amin?
Yes.
Ms. Corrado?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Mr. Talbot?
Yes.
And Mr. O'Malonic.
Yes.
Okay, we have 38 items on the finance. I'll do the motion first, and then the report, and then questions, and then... So can I get a motion? Dave? Brett? Report?
Sure. So we had a meeting the other day, so that report's not done yet, but to speak about the June 12th report, almost all of the items on here were voted on last meeting, so I won't go into detail, but I'll go quickly. We received a couple donations, one from Liberty Quarter PTO, $30,000 for furniture replacement, Cedar Hill donation of walkie-talkies for about $16,000. This one is on the vote for tonight. We received for cheer, $6,300 for mats, so thank you for that. That's from the Bridge Youth Sports cheerleading. So those are our donations. We also discussed at length our athletic budget, and we mainly focused on freshmen and JV and what the costs are, and are there ways to cut those costs. So there's approximately about $340,000 a year in costs there. We discussed potentially adding a activity fee in the future, and then the total budget for athletics is about $2.2 million. Next, we discussed the fund balance. That's still up in the air, so we don't know what that's going to be yet. So once we know that, we'll go into that in more detail. We also bid on the food service already. Maschio's is the new food service for the school district. And so far, we had that at executive session. We were very happy with that. And then the last item we also voted on last time was for leasing of computers. It's a lease-to-buy option, and we voted for that as well.
Does anybody have any questions? Okay, can we get a roll call?
Ms. White?
Yes,
Sorry, do you want me to discuss any of the items on, before we vote on them?
did the minutes go out on,
Well, I was going to say for what we're voting on for finance, all the items.
So there's one thing I just noticed on finance. Mr. Rollo and Mr. Syed and I met this morning with Ms. Fox, and we amended the agenda to include 2 additional professional development items under item 3 in the table of professional development. And I can see that I'm looking at a correct version on my computer, but it's not the hard copy that came out. So I think I probably updated our internal draft and not the final, so when it got printed, it didn't show up. So I wanted to ask the board if they could make a motion to amend item 3 to include Mr. Rollo traveling in August to the NJ ASBO, the New Jersey Association of School Business Officials AI training on August 14th for $538.88. And we have an Italian teacher on the agenda tonight being approved, and that individual will be teaching AP Italian, and so we need to approve them to take the AP Summer Institute at a cost of $940. So if the board is agreeable to amending that item to include those 2 things, if we could get a motion and a second for those 2 amendments before voting, that would be great.
okay, can I get a motion on that? Dave and Brett, okay? And a
Thank you.
vote on that now? With everything or separately?
Well, you would vote to agree to make that amendment and then vote on the
Okay,
items.
and everybody understands that you'll see it on your computer. Okay, all right. Can we get a roll call on that? You want to do,
Voice vote on that motion?
Okay.
To amend?
Amend item 3 under finance for those 2
All in
additional.
favor?
yeah,
Aye.
aye.
Any opposed?
So item 3 is amended, and then when
Okay.
you vote on all the items, that'll be included.
Okay, so now we need to vote on all the items.
Ms. White?
Yes.
Mr. Molinari?
Yes.
Mr. Amin?
Yes.
Ms. Corrado?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Mr. Talbot?
Yes.
And Mr. Omalonic?
Yes.
Okay, we're up to personnel. There are 34 items. I don't know if you'll notice the addendum next to you that had 2 extra items on it. Is there, Mr. Syed, are you doing a report for Robin, or is there? I can. Okay, so let's do the motion first. Keith and Mike, and then anything you want to share before we do the roll call.
Did we cut off Mr. Shaw from sharing anything for the June 12th committee report? Did he want to share?
Did he want to share anything? We can go back to it.
Maybe while Sean is pulling up those minutes.
Well, he's pulling up minutes. Was there anything from June 12th that you wanted to add?
I don't think, I think the only item I want to mention on the voting, just so everyone was aware, was number 7, that Jim, so this is for all districts, but they increased the bid threshold from 44,000 to 53. That doesn't change, that he'll still get quotes of the same as he always did, but he's allowed to bid at a higher amount now.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so June 13th, that Personnel Committee meeting, the committee talked about elementary sectioning as we do annually. We continue to monitor enrollment in all 4 elementary buildings to make determinations about whether or not we need to add staff, move sections. That is something that we continue to monitor, and we will do so right through the end of August and make adjustments as needed. So that was discussed. That was item 1 on the agenda. what else can I cover that's not confidential? Okay, we talked about the comprehensive equity plan submission, which the board did approve that submission of the comprehensive equity plan back in June. And so remember, this is June 13th, this agenda. And that's a requirement every 3 years that we develop a comprehensive equity plan. Talked about a couple of confidential personnel matters, and that's really all I can read out on that agenda.
Okay.
And then July 18th, another familiar item. We talked about elementary sectioning again, and you'll hear a little bit more about that in policy, so I'm not going to speak too much to that. I updated the board on open positions, and you'll see some of those positions being filled on the agenda tonight. And we do anticipate, of course, being fully staffed for September. We have, as the public knows, we've settled the BTBOE agreement. We finalized the last couple language items, and the contract was just signed today, actually, by the co-presidents. So I have it for our board president and for Mr. Rallo to sign, and then that contract will be placed on the Berners Township Board of Ed website for the public to view. And then lastly, we talked about AI, which is obviously an ongoing theme, something we'll be looking at as an administration and staff. We talked about it relative to administrators and some tools that they may be using during the 25-26 school year. And that was it. That's all I can read out.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to policy, and there are 3 items. Can I get a motion, and then we'll do the report? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Ms. White?
Yes.
Mr. Molinari?
Yes.
Mr. Amin?
Yes.
Ms. Corrado?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Mr. Talbot?
Yes.
And Mr. Omalani?
Yes.
All right, now we're up to the 3 items on policy. Can I get a motion? Janice and Brett, and then Mike, do you want to do the minutes?
Yeah, we met for policy on June 12th, and it was a pretty short report, but for the couple things we talked about, for the one policy, P2468, independent educational evaluation, we revised it slightly. The current policy committee firmed up the language. It is not a new policy. When teaching instruction is going on, school visitors are not allowed to come in except if your child has a program being recommended for an IEP and the parent guardian wants to see it, and the other exception if the parent guardian is having independent evaluation done, then the parent guardian can come. For the first reading for P2361, acceptable use of the network devices and resources, we changed the wording slightly. The board directs the superintendent to effect training of teaching staff members in skills appropriate to analyzing and evaluating such resources as to appropriateness for educational purposes. The board requires the safeguards such as filtering hardware and software be put into place to restrict student access to content that is inappropriate. And the other aspect is for the winter recess, we are considering changing the calendar to give off Friday, January 2nd, 2026, and then changing to the students come in on May 26th, 2026. So that would be, what we're planning on changing. And that's the report. Any questions?
Nick, do you want to talk about?
Sure. The items on the agenda for vote? Yeah. So as far as the, thank you, Mr. Talbot, for your report. As far as the actual voting items on the agenda under policy, there are 3. The first one is related to the school calendar, which we talked about at the June Board of Ed meeting, whereby we agreed to have school closed on the Friday that is at the very end of the winter break. It was the January 2nd, I think. Friday, January 2nd. Yeah, Friday, January 2nd, rather than coming back to school for one day at the end of winter break on a Friday. So that is really the major reason for having the school calendar on the agenda tonight. Also, you might have noticed if you took a look at the school calendar, we did add the dates that we will have early dismissals for teacher in service. I'm sure you're used to those 4 dates. Every year we designate 4 days on the school calendar for teacher in service, and we dismiss the kids early on those 4 dates, so that's been updated. on the school calendar, and once this is approved, we'll update that on the district website as well. The second item is related to how students are assigned to elementary schools. The policy has long provided that the superintendent can assign students to elementary schools, taking into account enrollment and balancing enrollment. The amended policy proposed tonight essentially provides a section of the Cedar Hill School zone whereby students could be assigned to Oak Street School if it was necessary for reasons of the schedule, the class sizes, balancing the number of sections so that we can provide specials to the students in an efficient manner. So the proposal to the board tonight is to amend that policy to provide for that possibility should the need arise to balance sections better. I don't anticipate it's necessary at this time to do that for this coming September. If there was something unusual that happened with enrollment in the next month, that's certainly possible, and I would update the board if that needed to happen. But I think it's important for us to start looking at this policy as we go forward to have a way to balance some of the sections in the elementary schools, in particular Cedar Hill, as we know that Cedar Hill's had an increase in enrollment beyond what the other elementary schools have seen, and it creates some challenges for us in scheduling that we need to have some ways to navigate. The third item, as Mr. Talbot reported, we made a couple minor amendments to our acceptable use policy, and you know, one of the things we wanted to highlight is that although we certainly require that our software has protections for inappropriate access to content through the district's network, you know, websites that we block, et cetera. Although we are required to put that in play, we wanted to have language to indicate that as much as we try to make it super secure that kids can't navigate to things that they shouldn't, it's impossible to block every single little thing. They might get to a game through some route or whatever. So, you know, we want to make sure that the public is aware that we're committed to making the environment safe, but nothing is 100% foolproof with students using technology. So that was the amendment there.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have anything that they want to share in terms of, Keith?
Just maybe a little, to clarify one thing on the Cedar Hills zoning, just
Sure.
no existing students, their schools will not be changed, so if they're already in elementary school, they will stay where they are. And if they already have a sibling at Cedar Hill and they live in that zone, they can still go to Cedar Hill. So we're not going to break up any siblings who are going to elementary schools or changing any existing schools. This will just be for new students entering the system.
Right.
If the superintendent decided to exercise it.
Yep, thank you. That's an important clarification. So, you know, you're looking at students that have yet to begin their journey at Cedar Hill Elementary School being possibly asked to go to Oak Street School instead. So to your point, if the student has already started, we wouldn't ask them to move midway through their experience. If they have a sibling already going to school at Cedar Hill, we wouldn't ask them to go to two different schools, have families dealing with two different elementary schools. Once a student starts at any particular elementary school, it's always been the board's policy that once you start at an elementary school, we work with you to try to keep that student all the way through. So if you transfer to town and start in second grade at any particular elementary school, you would do second, third, fourth, and fifth grade. You know, the other component is, again, keeping in mind the idea of siblings. If in fact we asked the youngest student of the oldest, I should say, the oldest child of a family starting in kindergarten, they begin at Oak Street School instead of Cedar Hill. If 2 years later a younger sibling comes along, they would also go to Oak Street School to keep the family together. So those are some important aspects, I think, just to help families know that in the event that we needed to do this, we would not be asking families to split up kids in multiple elementary schools, and we wouldn't be asking a student that's already started at an elementary school to suddenly switch. So, thank you.
Anyone else?
Nick, I think the other thing you said was currently it's not needed. This is if something happens over the next few weeks to change enrollment numbers or section requirements, then it's something that it would be considered. Otherwise, maybe potentially for next year, we would be doing this.
Right, so right now, we're in a pretty good place. I don't see the need to do this immediately. You know, as you noted, it's possible things sometimes can get a little nuts with enrollments in August, despite our best efforts to try to get people enrolling as early as possible so we know where we stand numbers-wise. Currently, there's no need to do it. If there's something wacky that happens and numbers start spiking in any particular grade at Cedar Hill that causes us to need to look at this again, I'd certainly advise the board and reach out to families that could be affected. But you raise an interesting point in terms of the future. We know where the demographer is predicting greater enrollment at Cedar Hill even into the next couple years beyond this year. So I think it's important to have some tools available to balance the scales a little bit if that were to play out. Thanks.
And regardless of whether the families were at Cedar Hill or Oak Street, if they are entitled for their children to get busing, they still would get busing to the different school zone, correct?
Yeah, so the area that we designated in the policy to consider is currently getting bused to Cedar Hill School. And since Oak Street School is about a mile further down the road, they would also be eligible for busing regardless of whether they were going to Cedar Hill or Oak Street. So transportation would be taken care of.
Okay. Anybody else? Dave?
Yeah, I just want to say that I'm very happy with this just because my kids are at Cedar Hill and I know it's very close to being over the limit. So I think this gives us a tool, makes us be proactive here that if the numbers do go in the wrong direction, that there's more kids than we expect, we have a way to alleviate that for them. So.
Anyone else? Can I get a roll call?
Ms. White?
Yes.
Mr. Molinari?
Yes.
Mr. Amin?
Yes.
Ms. Corrado?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Mr. Talbot?
Yes.
And Mr. Omalanik?
Yes.
We're up to curriculum, and there are 3 items. Can I get a motion, and then we'll do the report? Janice and Brett, do you want to do the report?
Thank you. Curriculum met on July 21st. We'll talk about the items up for vote first, the board agenda items. First up is a course name change, AP Economics. It's not a new course, it's just a change in name only to better align the course with the AP testing. Committee supports the change. Next, we talked about integrated topic in mathematics. This is a course proposed by Kathy Stoller. Multi-language learners, their tutoring programs are not running this summer due to a lack of federal title funding. SIFE students with interrupted formal education, we found they can be entering Ridge with as little as a 4th grade math level. The lowest math class offered at Ridge currently is Algebra 1. The course being proposed would be taught in English, but would focus on math skills based upon where the students in the class are. There are very few students this would affect. Now, Burnsville, they run a similar course, which is necessitated there due to different demographics in Ridge. In the past, these students at Ridge have had individual interventions paid for by grants that are not currently available. This course is not budgeted for, and the district is waiting to see if a Title III grant that can be used for this winds up coming through. A discussion was had regarding the numbers of students affected, the finances, and could potential grant money be deployed in a way that positively affects more students. Approval of the course tonight does not constitute funding or staffing. It does allow the district to have the option of running the course if necessary and when staffing is available. The committee supports approval. The AP Spanish textbook, that was scheduled to be on last board meeting's agenda, and it got pushed to tonight. The committee supports approval of the book. Discussion items, we talked about the state assessment results, parts 1 and 2. The report is linked to the committee minutes. This is the 4th year administering the New Jersey Graduation Proficiency Assessment, and NJGPA to all our juniors. Students are required to take it for graduation, but if they don't pass, there's other means of meeting the requirement, for instance, SATs or ACTs. Results are sent out to parents already of rising seniors, and the results have been consistent since 2023. 2022 was a bit of an outlier due to a higher state passing score and also just coming out of COVID. Regarding those students who were not graduation ready, according to this test, the percentages year to year, they can look like large shifts in percentages, but that's just because it's very low number of students in this category. So changes in small numbers equals big shifts in percentages. There are multiple supports for students to pursue alternative pathways to graduation to meet this requirement, for instance, again, the SAT and ACT scoring. And you can see those on the interventions page in the report that's linked for details. Kathy Stoller spoke to the ELL portion of the state assessment, and results on the New Jersey Student Learning Assessment will be added to this presentation and provided to the public in the fall. The school district's AI plan, the final draft, this will be a large area of focus for professional development for the coming year. The concentration is on integrity, safety, and proper usage while preparing students for AI in the outside world. A guidebook has been developed, and this is a multifaceted plan that includes a background on artificial intelligence in education, guidelines for students and staff, and best practices for families, as well as links to some resources. Next, we talked about tutor.com. This is the grant-funded online tutoring service the district utilized last year. At the end of the year, we had roughly 300 unused hours in the initial contract going into the end of the year. The service was initially targeted just towards struggling students, opening it up to all WAMs and Ridge students on May 5th. It did not increase the usage enough to use up all our unused hours. Next year, for $3,500, this service can be open on an unlimited basis to all students. It would include SAT and ACT test support with practice exams. There are also possibilities it can help with multi-language learners as well. Taking into consideration what district parents pay for private tutors, the possibility tutor.com could help alleviate that as another potential upside. It is already included in the EdTech budget. The only glitch might be if the district needs the EdTech money for universal K-3 literacy screening, which is state mandated. The committee supports moving forward with the service for the coming school year. And our next meeting is on September 5th.
Does anybody have any questions? I just wanted to say that the document you made, it's so very impressive, and I hope that parents will really take the time to look through it, because the work that you all put in, I know everything is changing daily, weekly with AI, but to have such a detailed guideline for staff, for parents, for students, it's really incredible that you were able to put that all together, and it's ready to be launched for the school year, so thank you for that. Can we get a roll call?
Ms. White?
Yes.
Mr. Molinari?
Yes.
Mr. Amin?
Yes.
Ms. Corrado?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Mr. Talbot?
Yes.
And Mr. Omalanik?
Yes.
We're up to wellness, and there is a report from the meeting.
Yes, the Wellness Committee met on June 11th. We received an update, a year-end report on the Thrive program. Dr. O'Connell and the Thrive counselors provided the results of the district program's first year. Thrive is the in-house program which replaced the work formerly done by the consultant Effective School Solutions. It's designed to provide intensive counseling for students at greatest risk for school attendance. At William Annan, the Thrive counselor worked with students at all 3 grade levels. The goals of the program were to engage students through Thrive groups, school clubs and activities, and involvement in the community, improve transitions through a detailed protocol that includes goal setting, progress tracking through the Panorama dashboard, and warm handoffs to school counselors or case managers. The third component is enhancing collaboration and bridging gaps through regular meetings between Thrive staff and school counselors, child study team members, and outside providers. There was significant improvement in rates for both absences and tardiness as compared with ESS results for 2023-24. Program goals for 2025-26 include providing students with more structured group counseling sessions, working more closely with club advisors to encourage Thrive students to participate in more extracurricular activities. At Ridge, the Thrive counselor shared that there were a total of 641 check-ins. The team shared how these statistics help to illustrate a positive result of the program by having Thrive program staff focused on the high-need students in the program. It frees up time for the rest of the counseling staff to devote to the remaining students. The counselor also shared data regarding absences and tardiness. Both showed significant improvement over the last year with ESS. All involved in Thrive, including counselors, teachers, and administrators, emphasized that the program was extremely successful. Benefits cited include supporting four-year graduation rates, providing proactive mental health counseling, enabling students to remain in district rather than referred for intensive outpatient placements, and fewer child study team referrals. There's more detailed information on the district website and links to both programs. The committee also discussed next steps regarding Panorama. Assistant Superintendent Ms. Fox provided committee members with summary reports and results for spring 2025 student surveys for grades 9 to 12, 6 to 8, and 3 to 5. The committee discussed how data is being tracked and presented and agreed that obtaining data by cohort would be particularly useful. Survey results from spring 2025 identified areas, potential areas for social emotional learning lessons in all three grade bands. Topics include managing challenging feelings, regulating emotions, practicing growth mindset, and learning about and discussing issues of race, ethnicity, and culture. A team of district administrators and staff are in the process of researching various providers with the goal of creating a district-wide platform that would include a survey tool, a data analysis tool, and a multi-tiered system of supports platform for our response to intervention teams. This information will be shared with the board once the team has completed its evaluation. The final topic that we discussed were the restorative practices that was done at William Annan School this year. At the start of the school year, WAMS administrators reviewed student data, discipline incidents, student and staff feedback, and committee recommendations. The board had approved hiring consultant Joy Roots to help develop an implementation plan to address issues related to school culture and climate, and to help create targeted professional development session on identified topics. It is clear that the additional supports at WAMS this year have had a positive impact on students. The committee had requested specific data regarding HIB incidents. Ms. Hudak shared that as of June 11th this year, there were a total of 20 HIB investigations comprising both founded and unfounded cases, 1 in 6th grade, 9 in 7th grade, and 10 in 8th grade. Last school year, WAMS had a total of 67 HIB investigations, 23 in 6th grade, 22 in 7th grade, and 22 in 8th grade. Ms. Hudak provided other data, including the results of survey information from the trained staff and how they have been able to incorporate strategies from the training into their practice. Ms. Hudak and Ms. Fox had a wrap-up meeting with Greg Lucas on June 19th. The committee was pleased to hear that the WAMS staff who received training this year plan to train additional staff in the 2025-26 school year. And the next Wellness Committee meeting is scheduled for September 24th.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Janice?
Yeah, just the report from Thrive that you referenced on the district, is that available on the district website, or was that, did I miss it? Was it sent out to the board?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
The report from Thrive that you showed the results for the year from the program.
Yes, so that information is linked in the report,
Okay.
specific numbers
Awesome.
and attendance Yes, there's one for William Ann and another for Ridge.
Okay, I see the link, thank you. And just one quick question, maybe it's in the report, but the 641 check-ins, do you know how many of those are individual students or who comprise those 641 check-ins? Because I know in the past, it's been like a couple of students have checked in an over amount, so I'm just curious how many individual students that was broken down among.
I would have to go back into the report.
If it's a
but
report, I'll find it.
I'll check for you.
Thank you.
It is broken down. Yeah, it is. It's got unique visits versus, yeah.
Okay.
Anyone else before we go on? Okay, we're up to facilities and operations and the report from June 10th.
Yep. The committee met on June 10th. It noted the work order status update and was very satisfied. Noted that the varying number of closed items per week reflected the timing of when the items were closed out, not necessarily when the week in which the work was actually completed. Starting July 1st, the district has 8 full-time in-house maintenance personnel and will be fully staffed. So the work order maintenance should continue. We reviewed the lead testing, the 3-year regular lead testing. The detailed report of the results are posted on the district website. The district plumber is in the process of addressing the several locations that needed remediation. Once those improvements have been made, retesting will happen before the fixtures are put back in use. The committee looked at the cost savings of a rebid of 9 tiers of buses, 32 routes, and an additional savings of $94,950 was achieved. And we will review the bus performance again at the August meeting. The team did an extensive review of the varsity field project. Nothing needed from the board at this time, but maybe in the August board meeting. The team did a review of turf options, electrical lighting alternatives, drainage plans, water retention basin location, bleacher options, and type of bid options. The next steps include discussions with the town about drainage plans. Food service renewal, the team reviewed 4 food service bids received in the RFP. The team aligned to propose to the full board the recommendation to select Mashio based on the scoring criteria of guaranteed return, management fee, capability record, performance and financial condition, and proposed on-site management. The construction projects, the direct install update, there was a 3rd bid solicited from M&M because the first 2 did not offer incentives over 50% for both Cedar Hill and Oak Street. We're awaiting PSE&G to announce gas qualifying gas incentives. And the rest was on nothing remarkable, except the new R and the new WAM site have been installed. The next meeting will be August 7th.
Thank you. Is the remediation for the lead anticipated to be completed by the start of the school year? Okay, because I know that's something parents would want to know.
Correct me if I'm wrong, that was done already.
Yeah, it's complete already.
Awesome, okay.
Yeah, and that's part of the grant that we talked about earlier, so that should be covered by that, hopefully, if we get that grant. And like we said earlier, if possible, it may cover 94 total fixtures of up to $6,000 a piece. So even if there's trace elements, it'd be a win-win for the district for that. We could have really nice new water fixtures throughout all our buildings.
Great. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, we are up to liaison. I don't know if there are any reports during the summer. Okay. Public comment on non-agenda items. If you have anything you'd like to come say or ask, please come forward. All right, I will close public comment, and that brings us to board forum. Is there anything that anybody would like to discuss?
I was asking, I know that some federal funding had been released this week, and I was just wondering if we had any update as to what we were entitled to.
Thank you. So I got back from a little time away and huddled with Jim first thing this morning to find out the answer to that question. Mr. Rollo and I we're hoping to find some information for ourselves. And when we checked this morning, we still hadn't received any notifications. Those notifications come to us telling us the amounts of the title grants. They're entitlement grants. They're not competitive grants. Title 1, 2, 3, 4. And we've all been hoping to get those numbers. So I did check on that this morning, and this morning there was no updates. Are we still at no updates?
Still no updates. Some states have gotten updates, but if New Jersey has received it, they haven't published it through their usual channels.
All right. So we'll keep you posted as soon as we hear something. Thanks, Jim.
Anyone else?
I think it's a little bit of a segue to something I want to just talk a little bit about. Not like many of you out there, because not many of you out there, but like a lot of people might be listening. I got my tax bill the other week, and it went up pretty substantially. And I think we should all just keep in mind, summer, but we're already starting to talk about budgeting for next year. And our budget difficulties are not going away. And we just talked about the title funds that we're unsure about. Taxes are going to go up again. Healthcare costs, inflation, unionized vendors, there's just no way they're not going to go up. And that's not going to be possible without, staying under 2% cap is likely not going to be possible without further consolidation within a district. What that looks like is something to be discussed, whether that's personnel, whether that's some programming that doesn't affect the essential quality of our education. I've asked the administration, and I'm sure most of the board would agree, for several different options. What it looks like staying under the cap, what it looks like if we go over the cap and have to go out to questions, put a couple different scenarios in front of us so we just can discuss it. I would like the discussion to be as public as possible, because every single person, every single property owner in this town pays the taxes, whether you have a child in school or not. So I think that's important. It's probably nobody's shocked that I lean fiscally conservative, but I do want to keep see those options to keep an open mind. And see what makes sense to keep, what makes sense to cut, and if it makes sense to send something out to question. And by that I mean, if we go over 2% cap, we're going to have to put items out to a public vote. And depending whatever we put out there, if it gets approved, great. If it doesn't get approved, it's gone. So we also have to be very circumspect with what we put out to public question. So it's food for thought for the public. Start thinking about it. There's an August meeting, there's a September meeting, and then we're kind of right in the thick of it. Because if we're going to do something going out to question, that has to be decided a good amount. I'm not sure the exact time frame, but a good amount of time before the November election. So pay attention, read the minutes, pay attention to what's going on the board, and come to meetings and make your concerns or questions heard. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, I completely agree with that. I think it is going to be another tough year from what we see. The next month, we'll have a better idea of what the fund balance over under will be there. So once that is finalized, I think at the next Finance Committee, we'll be having a very deep discussion on what to do about any, whether we're short or not. So I would say the next meeting will be key for anyone that wants to come and talk about this and understand this more.
Two things. One, when we talk about it, we will go into more detail about what Keith alluded to in terms of what a question actually means. And it would actually not be part of the November election. It would be, we would have to have a special election in January, because anything that you put out to question has to be utilized in the current school year. So we can explain all of that when we get to it, because it wouldn't be putting something on the ballot in November in anticipation of the next school year. You have to use it in 2025. Correct, Dave? Didn't we discuss that?
Yeah, so you could, the challenge I think is there are different times where you could in fact vote for something, but the question is the timing of when you vote and how it affects how taxes are collected and when the taxes are collected. So it's possible to do a vote in November, but it creates an odd timing because you're looking at collecting taxes in a way before you need them for the following school year. So That's why we talked about the possibility, if there were going to be something on the ballot, that we probably would do a special election in January, just to kind of get the timing right. I think that was a big part of it. So I think from a timing perspective, when we looked at this, if I remember correctly, you had to have your question to the county clerk's office. I think it was 60 days in advance, Jim? Does that sound right? 60 days? So, you know, if you're looking at doing something in January, to give that 60 days, you know, you're looking at November and December, you know, so you'd have to have the board approving the language of the question in October from a time frame perspective. So that would, you know, if the board chooses to go that route, that would probably be what we would recommend in terms of a timeline, finalizing a statement in October and voting on it in January. And then the taxes would show up in the right year, I think was the main idea with that. So, you know, certainly to be continued, obviously, you know, not fun stuff, but we have to address it because as we get, you know, the closeout of the 24-25 school year, you know, wrapped up, as Mr. Shaw pointed out, we'll have a pretty good sense then of where we stand in the fund balance. And, you know, maybe we'll get a better sense even by then about where federal funding might be heading. So all things to kind of watch with anticipation and planning for what might be something a little unusual for us in January, depending on, you know, where we end up. But, you know, and then there's also the factor of, you know, what we see happening, you know, with our own staff. I know that Mr. Syed, over the last couple years, has been running various campaigns to try to get more notice from staff about their plans for the future. So sometimes staff turnover has a big impact on budgets, and you never know what that's going to be until often May or June. But we worked with the association, and we're hopeful that this year maybe we'll get some earlier notice that could help us. So we'll see how those things all come together. But we you know, if you've been coming to board meetings and listening, you know we've been working on the 26-27 budget already. So we're starting earlier than ever.
And we're not alone, just, you know, many towns, many districts are all facing similar situations, and some have already gone out and had questions on their ballot. So this, while it might be new to us, we haven't done this in many years, it is not something new. And we will spend a lot of time, both at the committee level and at board meetings, talking about this in the coming months.
I mean, I know Jim sent me an email. You know, he was just trying to raise my spirits. So he sent me an email sharing the recent announcement about what was going on with the state health benefits program, which I think they changed their rates in January, if I remember correctly. And they were over 30 some odd percent.
This coming January, 36%.
36? Yeah, so that, you know, thank you, Jim, for that. It was, felt good to hear that news. But on the upside, we were only 20% going up from last year to this year. So I guess we're better off on our own, at least for now, than in the state health benefits plan. So yeah, it's lots of challenging things going on across many districts in the state, really everybody. So
Yeah, just a couple things. So one good point about the benefits. I mean, us being self-funded has not been a great year, 20% increase, but compared to what the state is up, I mean, we're doing phenomenal there. So it's great that we're self-funded, so that's working out well. The other not interesting, but I guess bad news for us that came up at the last meeting is the extraordinary aid. And we basically got the exact same dollars year over year, except there was a lot more dollars that we should have gotten. So in the prior year, we got 61% of our extraordinary aid funded, which was not great. This past year, we got 52%. So the state is giving us lower percentage of extraordinary aid. That amounts to probably about 900,000, if not $1 million, somewhere in that range, that we lost there. So just, it's going to be another tough year. Our goal is not to go out to vote. I mean, I think no one wants to do that. So that's the hope. We're going to do everything we can to try to stay away from that. But we're asking the district to look into every possibility of what there is out there. They have to come to us with a plan of what they can cut, what they can't cut, and why before we do anything with this.
And just one more thought to kind of piggyback on that. You know, it might be there's a possibility of things maybe turning in a couple of years with, you know, with different leadership in Trenton, also with the fact that some of the health insurance requirements that we operate on now are going to sunset in a year or two. So there could be less restricted times on a longer term horizon, but we got to deal with the shorter term, obviously. And there'll be a lot of work going in. And not to belabor the obvious, I mean, we'll be spending a lot of time on it, but there's not a lot of time for the public to be involved because there's maybe 3 meetings if we're going to put on a question in January before we have to decide in October. Maybe 3, maybe 4 more board meetings tops. So keep that in mind.
Anybody else? All right, with that, can I get a motion to adjourn? Janice and Dave. Hope you're all enjoying your summer.